Kathy and I'm an addict. Our public relations policy is based on attraction rather than promotion. We need to always maintain personal anonymity at the level of press, radio, and films. If anyone here represents a media agency, please contact Ray E. Our unity statement. The members of the North Central Indiana area of Narcotics Anonymous welcome you to the second annual We Grow with Love convention. We would like to thank you for joining us in this celebration of recovery. We are deeply grateful to Narcotics Anonymous and find great joy in being able to express our gratitude here with you, our family. In Narcotics Anonymous, we are certain that when we come together to share our lives and our love with each other, a miracle happens. Our recovery takes hard work, courage, and commitment. Those are the things that carry us through as we seek the spiritual growth that comes from working the 12 steps. Never alone, we do this together and for each other, knowing that we need each other, because more than anything else, we grow with love. The preface to the basic text begins, "The full fruit of the labor of love lives in the harvest, and that always comes in its right season." For us, our season has come. I've asked Pam to come up and read Why Are We Here?
Hi, my name's Pam and I'm an addict. Why are we here? Before coming to the Fellowship of NA, we could not manage our own lives. We could not live and enjoy life as other people do. We had to have something different, and we thought we had found it in drugs. We placed their use ahead of the welfare of our family, our wives, our husbands, and our children. We had to have drugs at all costs. We did many people great harm, but most of all, we harmed ourselves. Through our inability to accept our personal responsibilities, we were actually creating our own problems. We seemed to be incapable of facing life on life's own terms. Most of us realized that in our addiction, we were slowly committing suicide. In addiction is such a cunning enemy of life that we had lost the power to do anything about it. Many of us ended up in jail or sought help through medicine, religion, or in psychiatry. None of these methods was sufficient for us. Our disease always resurfaced or continued to progress until, in desperation, we sought help from one another in Narcotics Anonymous. After coming to NA, we realized that we were sick people. We suffered from a disease from which there is no known cure. It can, however, be arrested at some point, and recovery is then possible.
This isn't a workshop with a speaker. This is a workshop for everybody here. The same way this is North Central's convention, this is your convention. And what I'd like everybody to do is to take a moment, time to yourself, and reflect for yourself what the convention meant to you, maybe something you've learned, how you've grown, how other addicts have shared their experience, strength, and hope with you. And what I'd like you to do, if you have something to share, is come up here and share that with us so we can learn from each other. Before we open the floor, I need to remind everyone that you're being taped. If you don't wish to be taped, please let me know so we can turn the machine off. If I would like to take a moment, and when you're ready, just come up and share with us.
I'm Pam again, and I'm an addict still. I don't really like going first, but I don't like silence either. I get real uncomfortable with it, and I say stupid things because of it, because I don't like the silence. So they say something stupid, but, I should have just stuck with the silence. But I did learn a lot. I'm a newcomer. I could say I have 3 months, but I had 3 beers, so I got more like 3 weeks. And I know that, I've learned that you can't fool yourself and lie to yourself. That's the honesty. I've learned a whole lot from people here, and I feel I've grown this weekend quite a bit. And and learning the principles. I carried my book around the whole time, whether I read it or not, it was in my hand, and I think it did leak through into my heart. And I met a lot of really nice people and heard a lot of really helpful things, and I'm going to keep coming back and study my text. And I've learned a lot of principles, a lot of the sayings. They have cool buttons and t-shirts, and it is quite spiritual. I love the outdoors. It is very healing. I love the smells. It smells really, really, really neat in here. Something I'll always remember. And I'm real grateful for being here and being able to learn. And I want to thank everybody that was here and shared. That's all.
Hi everybody. I'm an addict named Chris. Hi Chris. I'm grateful to be here today. You know, this has been a spiritual experience for me. Something I never imagined or dreamed I'd ever be doing. You know, I was sharing at the campfire meeting last night. You know, I remember watching movies, you know, about places like this. You know, and people doing things like this, and that's all it was. It was a movie. You know, it was something that I watched for a time and period, and then my life went on. You know, the environment I come from is totally contrary to this. You know, and I accepted that was a way of life. You know, I accepted a way of life for the police sirens, the ventilator squad, you know, the firemen and paramedics, and shooting and guns and cabs and cars and trains and the buses and people, and you know, not the crickets that I heard and the birds chirping this morning and the squirrels running. You know, I always heard about retreats, you know, and going back to the wilderness. Spent all my life trying to get out of the woods, you know, my family, you know, my people from down south, and you know, I was raised in the city, you know, but I'm amazed of the peace, you know, the serenity, like the young lady was just saying about, you know, this was new to her, you know, and carrying her book around, and just the love that's here, you know. I'm learning, you know, like this program talks about, you know, getting outside of myself, doing something, you know, that's different, you know, a good different, you know, not like, you know, I've been doing, you know, I done what was only, that I only knew, in spite of how wrong or how I didn't like it. I just done it because it was the only thing I knew to do, you know. You know, I didn't like the gang banging and that whole lifestyle, but it was the only thing that I knew all my life. I didn't like the drugs. I saw what drugs did to people. You know, I didn't like selling drugs, but it was the only thing I knew other than, you know, what I saw on TV. And that was something that I never thought that I could do. You know, I even made blocks in my mind, said, I don't want to do that. Who want to go hang out in the woods? And I was sharing with another addict this morning, you know, about, you watch the movie Jason, you know, killing people, you know, in the camps, you know. And that was the last thing on my mind. It makes me think about how I justify in my addiction not going to treatment, you know, because I had a job. You know, I made $30,000-$40,000 a year. I was a machinist, you know, and, you know, all these sick people going to these drug programs, and they need help. They got to be bad off. And I justified not going there. Well, hell, I don't want them people stealing my stuff at night while I'm asleep. You know, I don't want them taking my money and my clothes while I'm asleep, or whatever else goes on in them places with them sick individuals, you know. But heck, when I got to treatment, they had to give me some clothes, you know. You know, I had to call people and ask them would they bring me some money. You know, I had nothing when I made it to treatment. You know, that's how bad my denial was. And it's even that way in recovery, you know. I still carry a certain amount of denial to justify, to stay sitting on that pity pot, to not move. and my God that you people have helped me to find, has in my life still has to sometime allow me to go through certain changes in my life to go on, to grow. And, I sit here before you all, the grace of God, and you people. September will be 6 years for me. But at 5 years clean, I was sharing last night I had, like I said, I've been on my job 17 years, had a wife, 2 cars, a motorcycle, 2 children, a house, over 5-6 grand in the bank. And I sit here, penniless, without a home. I lost my job, the wife divorced me. I have no transportation. But purely through the grace of God and you people, I made it to this place. I started out a year ago in Illinois, and I'm here today, and it was all because of you people and a chain of events that happened in my life to have taught me to be humble. Because even when I came around the program, when I first got here, because of my job, I went to treatment, because of my job. I did all the right things because I knew if I didn't, I'd lose it. And that was my God. That was my higher power. And I did everything it took to keep it. And in the process, I started finding out, hey, this is okay. This program has its benefits, And of course, then the wife asked me to come back. Me and the kids started a little better relationship, and things just got better. And I applied certain principles of the program to my life that I wanted to use, But today I know that my God allowed me, and I believe this in my heart, it allowed me, my job to be removed because that was my first God. My wife and children to be removed because that was my second God. My money, my bike, my car, and all the things that I put above my true God that I called on, like people used to say that push button God. And I never forget the day I went to work and they terminated me. And it had nothing to do with drinking and drugging. It had nothing to do with not coming to work because I didn't drink. I didn't drug. I worked with my EAP at work and we started meetings on the job. And, my life was perfect to me, I wasn't getting high. I come to work every day and I even got there on time, And these people found reason to fire me, But today I know that it's just my God allowing me to grow because I became comfortable with where I was at. In spite of what I knew really was going on in my life, see, I had, in my mind, fooled these people to believe that I was okay. But last night when I sat in front of that campfire, I truly came to understanding why all this was going on in my life. All during this process, I've been saying, why me, God? I chaired a lot of meetings. I've started meetings through the grace of God. I went out of my way to help people. I've done everything I thought I knew to do. But why did I have to suffer all these things? But when I sat there last night in front of that campfire, I used to hear a term saying, people would say, you're in the right place, you're right where you're supposed to be right now. I knew what they meant. I knew that if anything else, any course of action had been any different in my life, I wouldn't have been sitting at that campfire. I've been somewhere else. I've been trying to be on a gambling boat. I've been trying to be in California. I've been trying to, buy this new Mercedes or whatever. I wouldn't have been trying to find out about Chris because all these things were nothing but just different masses, cover-ups to not ever look at me. And it took me to lose all these things. And just the other day, believe it or not, I talked to my union steward, and they found my job was at, they wrongfully fired me. I knew this, but the way the thing went down, I couldn't convince nobody. It was a process, But I found out that I will be getting my job back. But I still got to live right now, I just went out and found a little job, and man hit me the next day and tore my car up, so I lost it. I had no transportation. I can't work. I just got this apartment, so I said, man, I'm going to lose this. Even though I found out that they got to give me my job back, but they told me it's going to be at least another 5 to 6 months. so I still gotta live. And but sharing, getting out of self, allowing you people to help me, because when I first came here, I only helped, I went out of my way to help other people. In return, it allowed me not to deal with some of my stuff. And I shared in a meeting, and a person came to me after the meeting and said, don't you know, state of Indiana, you can go get a township, they'll pay your rents, they'll pay your lights, they'll pay your gas. And I said, what? When I went down there, and once I got down there, I even found out they were giving me food stamps, And that was a blessing. I mean, because a part of me had wanted to give up. And I knew that was truly an act of God. And a friend came to me the other day and said, you going to the Serenity House banquet? And I said, man, I don't have $20. They said, well, just come on anyway. You get a ticket there. And I went to the banquet. I ended up not having to pay. And I left from there. I met a friend that I used to work with at the Serenity House, halfway house. And she said, I'm going to this retreat. I said, man, I'd love to go. She said, well, come. I said, I don't have no money. She said, well, I don't either, but I'm just going in faith. I said, but that's way I don't, how am I get back? How am I? She said, well, Chris, just don't worry about that. I said, well, okay. So went to South Bend, and we rode all night looking for a hotel for me to stay at, And finally we found one. She got up this morning, came back the next morning, picked me up, and we rode down here. And when I got here, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't really have no money. The little money I did have spent at the hotel for that night. And then I met a couple people I know from Gary, and like she had to go back. She was only staying a few hours. They said, well, man, stay here, stay the night. I take you back, I said, well, man, I did want to stay and make that meeting that night, the campfire meeting, And but all parts of me said, no, I better go back. This is my only ride. I came down with these people. But through the grace of God and listening and following the suggestions of others, I stayed at that campfire. And I know that was what this has all been about. I believe I've had that, that eye-opening experience that's taken me, allowing me to go to another level. Today I know that I do have a God, that does work for me, even when I've given up. That's what it's all about. It's still keeping an open mind. I'm just grateful, I'm just overwhelmed. Just being here, meeting new people. Last night they had a thing at the chapel last night, a meditation, and it was beautiful. It was something new and different for me. Again, something I hadn't really done since treatment. I remember we used to do meditation and all that, but this lady told us to sit by someone, and touch someone with your mind and your heart, and then physically, held hands. It was just another spiritual awakening. It was reaching out, touching someone, and showing true concern. And that's what this is all about. I'm just grateful to be here. I could never forget this. I don't think I could. It's just another reason to be clean for me today, and another reason for me to know that there is a God. I'll keep coming back.
I'm an addict named Mark. Keep this brief so we can get as many people as possible up here. I don't know, this weekend for me, gave me the opportunity to get closer to some people that I met here last year, some new family members, and meet some new family members this year. And next year I'll get closer to them. And hopefully that'll happen continuously from now until then, whenever that is. For me, this is part of my healing process. That's why I come to Narcotics Anonymous, I think, is to heal. And so far, it seems to be working. This is this happening that we have here. like they used to say in the early 60s, this was a beautiful happening that we had here this weekend. It's a godsend for me. I never dreamed that I could be a part of making something like this happen. But it's reality. It is happening, and I was a part of it, and I'm very grateful. I've met a lot of wonderful new people here. And I hope you all keep coming back so we can grow with love together. That's all.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Dennis, and I'm an addict. It's been a great weekend. Strengthened some friendships that I made last year, and made some new friendships. And the miracle continues to grow here, and it's pretty incredible. It's nice being part of something, being part of something from the beginning and then knowing, where it's going. And I heard something about a year 2020, some special speaker, or 2002, I think it was, that, I don't know, having somebody come in here and, watching that person grow, from a year to here. I was up until 5 o'clock this morning reflecting with him on, what the changes have been in the last year, and there's been some changes in me. This was one of those where I started reaching out some more to more people, and made some friendships that have gone on throughout the year, not just I see you at a convention every now and then and say hi, how you doing, what's been going on. But those friendships have been, have grown throughout the year in between. And I think that's what this is about. There's getting to be more and more places where I can go today and know there's going to be somebody that I've, a familiar face. Not just a familiar story at a meeting, but a familiar face when I go, maybe to Iowa or to Brooklyn or to Detroit or to, wherever I might end up. So, and that's part of what this is about. This is a worldwide fellowship, and it's incredible. So, if I don't see any of you in between, maybe out in Maryland this fall. So, have a great summer. Bye, everybody.
Manatic, my name is Skip. Grateful for coming to the Grace of God and their program and your people. I came here last year and it was on an impulse, and it was one of the best things that happened to me. For me, it's coming here and cleansing my soul. I can remember last year crying after the speaker, and after we closed and we sang that song, Lean On Me, and I was crying, man. These tears were coming out, and an addict came up and told me that it was cleansing of the soul and it was all right to cry, and I was sad because it was over, and I didn't want to go home, like I know a lot of us feel like, and if you feel that way, I'll tell you what they told me, that wherever I go, I take a part of this with me. I take a little piece wherever I go, and I can always reflect back. It is about love, and this fellowship is about love. It's about caring, and it's about hope for me. It's about that intense affection for another human being, that helping hand, that hug when you need it, and I really needed this year, and I think my higher power knew that, he made it happen for me, man, and you people made it a very special moment in my life, I love this place, man. I do. You know. I just like to thank you all, and I hope I see you next year. And I tell you what they told me last year. They said, bring somebody with you. Bring a friend, man. Bring a newcomer. You know, let them experience this, man. You know. You know, I go and I do an H9 meeting, and you know, I try to tell them this is just the tip of the iceberg, man. You know, it's just the tip of the iceberg, the whole picture. You know, and it's great. It's really great. I'd like to wish everybody in this room love, peace, and recovery, and I keep coming back.
I hate microphones. I'm an addict. My name's Jana. I know I was sitting there thinking when Kathy said take a moment to reflect on what I got out of it. And I guess the few things that came to my mind was, I don't know, these past 3 months has seemed to be like something constantly happening in my life, you know, and something that I've had to constantly keep working and just working and focusing on, you know. And it's, you know, I've had a few people in my life tell me that I need to take a break, you know, I need to learn how to relax, learn how to meditate and not be so hyped up, you know, and this was the perfect weekend for it, and it came right on time, you know. I don't know how else to explain it. You know, last year when I was here, I thought it was the greatest thing in the world to me, you know. It came right on time, and it was exactly what I needed, you know, and this year, it seems like it's just doubled that. You know, I don't know how else to explain it. You know, the spirituality that I felt here and the love that I felt here this year, you know, I was able to actually open up and get intimate with people, and that was one of my biggest fears, you know, my whole life. You know, and I've been able to do that with women, and I've been able to do that with men, you know, and it's been one of the greatest experiences I have ever had. I don't know, it's been pretty awesome. You know, I haven't had much time to sleep, and I'm not really even tired right at this moment. Give me 15 minutes and I will be. But I don't know. I've got to experience a lot just in this past weekend. Over the 3 months that I've been struggling with things, you know, just in these 3 or 4 days, those struggles seem to have just cleared themselves up. You know, I don't know how else to explain it other than my higher power's definitely been working overtime in my life. I'm grateful that I got a chance to be here today. Love you.
Hi everybody, I'm Nancy, I'm an addict. I'm grateful to be here with you all today. God, the sun's come out and it's shining through that window and it just looks magnificent. How neat, how spiritual for the end of this retreat. It seems like it's taken a whole year for the glow I got last year to wear off. And that little hole in my stomach, that happens when I'm not serene and not happy and I let the world crowd out my recovery, has begun to fill up again. I feel so much at peace here. It's like it's coming home to me. And I've looked forward to it, and I had to go through a lot of shit to get here. But anything worth doing is worth getting through that shit to get here. You know, and I'll do it again next year, God willing. You know, because I know I only stay clean one day at a time. And 363 days from now, we'll be here again. You know, and that's okay, because I can do it that way. I can't do it year by year. You know, I have to do it a day at a time. And I too was touched by the meditation workshop last night. I don't know if I totally became in touch with my higher power or I fell asleep. But I felt very refreshed. You know, and I love that chapel. It is so peaceful in there. This whole place is very peaceful. And getting in touch with the people I met last year and meeting new friends, forming bonds, becoming one as a group. bring a newcomer. It is truly wonderful to come here, and I hope to see y'all again next year. Go with God and keep it together. Thanks, everybody.
I'm Attica, Mike. How you doing? I've been saying about this place. I can feel my presence, my higher power here all this weekend. When I tend to go off my own little world and do things, But I was quickly drawn back to where I needed to be, and I learned that I've been dealing with this controversy about this new job deal and all this. I learned that go ahead and take this other job, and if you are supposed to get this, it's kind of. But I'm at peace with it now. I can accept it, and I'm at peace with it now, and so I'll move on. I can't sit there and do this in my mind all keep me up at night and all kinds of stuff. But I don't know. I'm nervous. This place it's got, I feel that my higher power is here, I see them in the meetings, and I see them, it's just a real great place. It's just, we go with love. It's great. Thank you very much.
You am an addict. So I'm reflecting. This weekend's been real special for me. In a real special way. It's almost like I can't. I came back home. My mom passed away. It's been a little over a year now. And I drifted away from NA. As I look back, the way I've dealt with that is I threw myself into school. I went back to school since I've been clean, and I just threw myself into it. That's what I did. Now looking back, it's like, I see what I could have done. I could have hung in and let all of you love me and hold me up through that. But I couldn't do that at that time. So now school's out, and here I am. I need all of you. It's so neat. My higher power is definitely here with me. He's allowed me, I can see, what I've seen is a whole hell of a lot of growth. This is my area. Growth from love that I want to be a part of, and I'm sure of it. I miss you guys. It feels good to be able to say that. That's where my heart's at. I tried for 6 years, bouncing in and out of other places, other fellowships, and I didn't get clean. I crawled into NA and hung on. You guys let me hang on, and I got clean. That's where my heart is. That's where I got clean. It's where I felt the love. it's where I really felt connected in a way that I'd never connected before. So in every, the true sense of the word, I found a home. I like that in basic text, that reading. Somebody else mentioned the meditation last night, and that's a connection, to my higher power that it's like profound. It's like something that I got, like a direct message, real clear and real concise, and it's kind of scary, but and I want to keep it with me. At the end of the meditation, she said, carry that with you. What I heard her say was the message that you keep that with you. Don't forget that. So so I'm going to try to do that. I'm real glad. I'm real proud. It's a privilege to be a part of this fellowship, and thanks to all of you for just with open arms. I'm back home. Thanks.
Hi, my name's Rick and I am an addict. Hi, family. I remember I've been to a lot of things I went to a camp out last week and met some beautiful people there, and the weekend before I was in Indy to a picnic. But sometimes I find out, even though I have all you people, sometimes I'm still lonely. And this weekend, even though I was having a good time a couple times, I felt really lonely. And like I went to the meditation last night, and I just felt, even though everyone was there, I just was kind of sitting by myself, and I felt lonely there. And it's like, I don't know. But I realized this weekend I learned a lot too, that it's all right to have feelings too. I mean, certain feelings. Like I have an emptiness sometimes in me, and I know without you people, I really would be alone. So sometimes when I feel that way, I'm really not that way. I don't know. I'm really happy to be here because I needed to be here because I think about a month ago I didn't have the week off, and I got it off. So I mean, the Friday to come here, and I don't know. There's a part of me that I don't know. I just need to work on myself. I think I have to get out of Rick and into the solution of a lot of things. I remember when I was out using, it's like I was sitting here listening to a speaker last night, and I could hear the birds in the background. And I remember so many times when I was using, I've never heard the birds. Even then when they were out there, today I can hear that. Hopefully I'll be here next year again. I can't make no definite plans, but I really would like to, because I really enjoyed this convention. And I don't know, I just need you people. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Mike, and I'm an addict. I want to thank everybody on the committee, and especially Kathy and Mark, and it was a pleasure to meet John and Barb, and they made us truly welcome here. This is our second year coming, and I want to make reservations for the next year. We had a wonderful time, and a lot of people say you come all the way from Iowa, for this, and it's really not that far. I go to any lengths and means to stay clean today, and you people are becoming part of my home group. It seems like big group. Once a year I come to this meeting, and it truly inspires my program when I get back home. I had the opportunity to co-chair a workshop, and it really gave my program a boost, I think. I need to believe in a higher power, and some days I don't believe. I take my will back, and I want it Mike's way, and I don't ask for God's help, and that's when I suffer from my disease kicks in again, and I start hurting. So I'm going to turn my will over to God this year, and hopefully the year will be smoother than the year before, you know, and it just gets better and better. That's what I hope for anyway. And I'm sorry I got to go home today, but I do. So it's back to living life on life's terms and hoping for a better outcome each day. And that's all I got. I'm just grateful to be able to make it here. Thank you.
I'm a recovering addict named Diane, and there is absolutely no way, unless y'all want to stay here for about a week while I go on and on and on, you know, to be able to reflect back and say what went on for me here this weekend. But I can look back at last year, you know, and know that throughout the year, things that y'all said and did or we did and that went on here were with me, and that they helped me through some times in my life. It's coming here was a real scary thing for me last year, and I brought 2 kids with me last year when I came, and this year coming it was like, oh my God, I'm all alone. I mean, I really tried to get people from Wisconsin. It was like, you know, tied into something else, but it was kind of scary, and I came in and there were faces that I knew and faces that I didn't know, and I was still home. You know, it didn't really matter. And it was really great. The women here, and it's not anything against you guys, you know, but the women that are at this convention and have been at this convention, there aren't many women in my meetings. You know, I don't have that support that, you know, that I would like to have. And when I come to something like this, especially this particular convention, you know, the women here are so supportive and strong and willing and loving. And it's what I lack in my day-to-day and week-to-week meetings at home. And I don't know if it's the numbers or there's so many here or what it is. I just know that I get something here that I can't get anywhere else. And for that I am extremely grateful. You know, the meditation last night, I came out of the meditation and felt an aloneness that was good. It was peaceful, and there was serenity in there. And when I first recognized it as aloneness, I wanted to panic. Oh my God, I'm all alone, you know. And it was like, no, wait a minute, this is okay. You know, this was okay. You know, I won't know what I got from here probably for 6 months. You know, I mean, I'm a little slower than some, you know. But, yeah, no, it might not be for 6 months, but, and then it'll go, oh, wow. Oh, yeah. All right, you know. I sat with an addict last night for, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 hours. That's what we did last year. We sat for 2 or 3 hours and she left. And this year we sat for 2 or 3 hours and she left, you know. But what I got in that 2 or 3 hours or that 5 minutes or that 3 minutes, you know, it's going to be with me. And that's something that I learned in the fellowship. I had a great deal of difficulty, and she must be on my mind. I've spoken about her a lot this weekend. My sponsor was killed by a drunk driver, and I was devastated. And I remember when I first got into NA and I talked about her, and I was angry still, and this addict just looked at me and said, "What's your problem? You're always going to have her. You pass her on. I have heard you pass her on in meetings. I've heard you give her away in meetings, you know." And it was that addict telling me that made me realize that I don't lose this when I leave here. I get to pass you guys on, you know, what you've given me. And for that, I am extremely grateful. And God willing, I hope to be here next year too. But sometimes life happens, you know. Reality just is, you know. But I'm just real grateful, and I thank y'all. Love y'all.
Hello, family. I'm an addict called Mike. Last year you told me to bring somebody back with me, and I brought my kids. And I really want to thank all of you for being a special part of their lives. You know, so it gave them time to be able to walk away from me and meet some other people who I don't know if they'll ever see them again, but they'll always be a special part of our lives. You know, just thinking of some of the things. You know, hug him in the bathroom, you know, and hey, some of the little fears we go through, hey, not in the bathroom, anywhere else, and addict shared with me about the 13th step, that's when I'm not working my 6th and 7th step. I said, oh, okay, you know, I'm glad that my higher power gives me the ability to laugh and to have fun and to make people smile. But I think I'm more grateful for those people who make me become serious, because it's only when I become serious is that I'm able to really reflect on what's going on with Mike, you know, and when they're serious, because I'm usually not, you know, today, when I'm going through a problem, yes, it's serious, but afterwards, there's a joke in there somewhere. There's got to be, you know, there's got to be some way I can laugh at this and put it off, and to be able to tell you that when things happen in my life, you know, they are important, but life does go on, you know, and it's great. The friends that I met here last year, the new people that I met, you know, the new people that I slept with, you know, I never heard these people snore. You know, they're different people, you know. I heard some other people snore last year, you know, and it's great. You know, and like another addict was sharing, I take all of this back with me. You know, and when I went to the World Convention, because Gary is so close to Chicago and so many of us went, you know, you couldn't go back and say, oh, I heard this at the convention. See, now I can, because there's not that many people here. I can go back and say, hey, I heard this at the convention, and they didn't hear it. And, you know, it's not that it's something new. It's just that somebody said it a different way. It hit home differently this time, you know. And it's about, like I said, like she said, 6 months from now, I think, oh, that's what so-and-so said, you know, and it'll be there, and it's not that I don't remember. When it comes up, it'll be right on time, you know. It'll come up just at the moment I need it, you know. It always works like that. The hugs, and like another addict shared, you know, to be able to hug somebody and to hold somebody, you know, it's a difference. You know, Attic and I were sharing that we don't have to burp each other today. You know, there's something about that, you know, because some of the men in our area, you know, you almost take a whooping, you know, trying to get a hug because they're beating you in the back. Wait a minute, man, you know, my back hurting and everything. And to be able to know that it's just a warm hug, and that I tell people, you know, they say, well, nobody hugged me in the meeting. I say, how many hugs did you give? You know, because I know if I give some, I'm going to get some. You know, and I like being able to give hugs. I like being able to see people smile. I just love people today. You know, I love living today. You know, I enjoyed myself being here. I want to thank the committee for putting all this on, and I know what we go through in order to do things like this. You know, can't we impeach him? You know, he's been, you know, they don't need to run that certain committee. I know I can do a better job, and you know, I want to complain from the outside, but I don't want to get on the inside and do anything about it. And see, that's what I really need to do. You know, when you hear me complaining that this ain't going right, what I'm really saying is that I'm not involved in that, you know, and that I need to get involved in that, you know, and I need to involve other people. And I got some solutions today, and the one addict shared with me, because I'm involved in H&I, and he said, well, Mike, my solution to everything is always prayer. And that's one thing I never tried before. You know, let's go pray for some more volunteers. I'm going to go back there to the subcommittee and say, hey, have we ever prayed to have some more volunteers to come in, to have some more addicts come share in this? And, you know, that's something new. That's something I'll take back there and share with other people, you know. And the thing about that, I know that one will work. Yeah, I don't have no doubts in my mind that that one will work. You know, today when I got on my knees and prayed, I prayed that everyone will have a safe ride home so that we can show up again next year. That's all I got.
My family, my name is Jay. I'm an addict. I can't begin to tell you what I got this weekend. I think I received a lot of love. And I tried to give back as much as I received. You've strengthened in me a lot of things, and I'd like to also second that. Reservations for next year. I plan on bringing some people with me too. This has been great for me. Like I said, I can't express it. All I can say is thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for having this. I'm sorry I missed it last year. I am really, really sorry. I've met some beautiful, beautiful people this weekend. I've renewed some old acquaintances, seen some faces I haven't seen for a while. God, I've said this time and time again, and I'm going to say it again. I've seen this area grow from conception to now. And this has got to be the most spiritual area in the whole Indiana region. And I can express that opinion today. I'm not an ASR. So this is coming from my heart to your heart. And I love you all. Please be here next year. I'm going to keep coming back.
I'm Linda, I'm an addict. This is my second year here too, and it's always interesting to think over all the things that you've gone through in the course of a year. Got another grandchild, and I went through the empty nest syndrome, and I'm probably going to need a handkerchief. My mom died. Oh, tough biker up here crying in front of my family. I remember coming here last year with my grandchildren in each one of my hands, and we walked around here, and I think why this place is so special is because of the people that built it. I'm a nature lover, and I love rocks. My flower beds are all lined with them, and I love trees, and it was neat to run into a young lady that likes to hug trees too. I thought I was the only person in the world that hugged and kissed trees. And it's nice to know that there's other people that come from the same place I do. But I remember coming in here with both my little grandchildren and my daughter. And I remember
feeling the rocks and the presence of the people that built these places, and almost hearing the hammers as they put the roof on this place, and just feeling the love and the fellowship and how they work together. And I bet at the time they had no concept that we would be here, the same type of people, sharing the same kind of love and fellowship that they have as they built these structures. And I just can't help but think that our higher power was up there smiling, knowing that the same kind of people with the same kind of spirit and the same kind of soul as we have were constructing this for our future use. And I just feel it in every place that I go here, the beauty and the love and the warmth of the people that originally put this place together. And we can't help but experience that in the people that are serving us the food around here and just being so kind and good to us. And it's just really neat for me to see a lot of the same places and being able to come to a place where I have some very safe people in my life that I can be with and talk about the things that are going on in my life. And God willing, I hope to see y'all here again next year.
Yeah, I'm Ray. I'm an addict. I know when Kathy, we asked her to share this today, and she said take a minute to reflect on what you experienced this weekend. I look back I see addicts getting in boats and don't know how to row a boat, and just, and they don't care. They get stuck out in the middle of the lake and they let the wind blow them back. And addicts that can't swim that are in boats with life jackets, and there's white knuckling to the side of the boat, hanging on. And it shows me that in my recovery I do things instantaneously and insanity. I figure if I can't swim, what am I doing out in a deep lake? Then we were sitting there last night, and this guy jumps up and takes zipping across the room, and says, "It's a snake with legs," and it was a little centipede. It's like, man. His girlfriend's still sitting there and he's gone, and snake with legs. Because I live in the country, I live in a real small rural town. It's got a lot of people a lot of years clean, and we all branch out to different areas, and support other meetings instead of having one in our little town. Well, no, it's a village. And I'm used to seeing these things, and listening to birds, and and then you see little chipmunks and groundhogs and woodchucks, and somebody calls a woodchuck a raccoon, and you're like, okay. I guess they don't have those in the city. I don't know. Last year the guy was seeing two ducks mating, and he was like, "Wow, ducks mating!" And it's wonderful to watch people experience these things. It's like, man, because I take those things for granted because I see them all the time. I get tired of that bird chirping at 5:30 in the morning, waking me up. I probably like the people in the city get tired of those gunshots at 5:30 in the morning, waking them up. So I guess I can deal with birds chirping and hearing people get shot. But it's great to see recovery growing like it is, and the people showing up every year. Because we sit around and we do this, and it's like Mike was saying, we argue sometimes, and then we don't disagree on things, and we're not agreeable on everything, and then when it happens, we all just throw our hands up when we get here and say, hey, let it go, what's going to happen is going to happen, and it all works out for the best. A lot of people say, how can you guys be so mellow? You convention committee people are just laid back, it's like, well, we can't change it, so we might as well let happen what's going to happen, you guys have a good time, and we'll just... And we get the credit for it. That's a good thing. Hey, that's pretty good. We get credit. You guys are the ones doing all the work. But, I remember my first one last year too. I was talking to some people saying, yeah, they're going to feed us. What are we going to get? And got here and the food was really good, and the food was good this year. And and I don't eat 3 meals a day, but I figure, hell, I'm here and they got 3 meals, all I can eat, so I stuff myself and then go to sleep because I'm so wore out from eating so much food. But, you know, I'm just grateful we can have this, you know, and have a good time with each other, you know, because we figure, you know, recovery is a hard process to do every day. You got to really work, but you got to have fun. That's why we put the playtime in, so you can get to know people and have fun, you know, and try to have good workshops. But you know, and everybody says, and that was the other thing that we're trying to figure out: what the hell kind of subjects do you come up for workshops? You know, what do people want to hear? I know what I want to hear, but that's not what you may want to hear. So you know, and you know, and then finding people to do it. It's amazing, you know, the people that send things in like this year. You know, all these people wanting to come from all over, and they show up, and the people that were here last year are back. I remember a couple pulled in Friday, and I was walking down the walkway, and I said, "You're from Detroit? How'd you know that?" I said, "Well, I guess." No. You know, it was a pretty good guess. I mean, I remember them from last year, you know, and the people from Iowa, I remember them, you know, and I kept asking, "Are they here yet? Are they here yet?" You know, I figured, because, you know, you met them last year, it's like, man, you drive all the way from Iowa, I get here in 15, 20 minutes, and you're driving 7 hours, you know. And then, you know, like Mike from Gary, and, you know, these people came up from Evansville, and Vincennes, and, you know, people getting together from all over. And I remember asking the speaker last night to share, and, you know, and her reaction on her face. Me? I said, yeah, I'm glad it's you, not me. I ain't gonna, you know, I don't want to get up here. You know, and then the speaker from California, she called and we told her, you know, she said, well, I'll get a hotel in Milford. I started laughing. I said, you can find a hotel in Milford, you can stay there. But you're grateful to stay in our house. She said, okay. And I think now she realized why I was laughing so hard when she asked me. You know, but you know, it's amazing the things you experience while you're here, you know, and you take them with you. And we figured we'd do this year instead of having a speaker share, have you people give us back what you experienced and can carry with you for the whole year. You know, and I'm just glad to be part of, you know, and not one of us, like I was watching that tape, you know, with Jimmy, and you know, like he said, I hate bosses, and I guess I'm like that too. I hate bosses, but I like the people that are in recovery that give a little, then let go and let it go, you know, and let it grow. And it works, you know. I mean, I learned a lot on that. I guess I've grown a lot on my recovery, you know, like watching those 2 girls that I know, and when they got in the canoe and they were getting ready to go out in the middle of the lake, and one couldn't swim, and the other ones asked me after they're out about 50 foot offshore, how do you steer this thing, you know? I remember my recovery, you know, it's the same way, you know. How do I steer my life after I got in recovery? You know, here I'm in the middle of a big lake and don't know where I'm going and don't know how to steer it, and, you know, then it's like, well, I guess I got, you know, paddle like hell to get out there and don't know how to get back. You know, and it's just amazing, you know, the things you learn from watching other people. And then like the tree on the back of our shirts. These people come up to me and said, the tree. I said, what tree? I mean, there's many trees out here, you know. They said, it's down that path at the very end to the right. And I said, what tree? That one in the middle of the shirt in the back. And I was there last year. I didn't know there ain't no darn tree down there at the back of the path. You know, and went out and looked, and it is, it's amazing. That tree just sitting there, they mow around it, and it's there, it sticks out, you know. And I said, how in the hell did they put a tree that's way out there in the front of a picture of this whole place? You know, and all these people were amazed about a tree. You know, these people come around, let's go hug a tree tonight. Let's hug a tree. It's like, okay, I guess. You know, and it's just wonderful. Everybody can show up and have a good time, you know, and we can reflect on what we experience. And I'm just glad I can be part of and help experience it with other people and give up my ego and a lot of my character defects. I have a lot of them, you know, and it all works out great when you get here, you know, all the hard work and all your hard work. You had to do just as much work as we did to get here, you know, and it's just wonderful to be here and experience the people I haven't seen in a while, and the people that are leaving, like the speaker this weekend. I've known her husband for a long time, being involved in service, and it's sad that they're moving away, but I know I'll see them eventually again somewhere, you know, because I got relatives that live down there, so maybe I may make it down there to visit my relatives. I'll say that and I'll go visit them. But, you know, it's just wonderful. There's a good fellowship, you know, and it's growing. And there's places like this that accept us, you know, that understand us, and let us come here, and we can experience the things that they experience and give us. And all the beautiful masonry work, you know, and the work that people did here, you know, and it's still here. And the way that, and like they told us, you know, I went up there and told us, well, we get kind of loud, let us know, and we'll calm it down. And said, well, you're too quiet, you know, and they're telling addicts we're too quiet. I have to come out and make sure you're still here, you know, and you said the wrong thing, lady. But, you know, I'm just glad to be here. I'm glad all of you are here, and, you know, and thanks for letting us give this to you, you know, freely. And with that, I'll leave. Thank you.
I'm Betty. I'm an addict. I wasn't going to say anything, and then I was listening to Julie share honestly, and then Linda get up here and share honestly, and I said, okay, you know, I can do this. I was here last year, and I got a whole lot out of it, but I think I got more out of it this year. I met some really special people. It's helped me deal with a lot of things that have come up in my life, because I met some people who were real knowledgeable. You know, when I came into the fellowship, well, a little while after that, I tested positive for HIV, and I lived with asymptomatic HIV, and then I went to symptomatic HIV, and a little bit before this convention here, my doctor told me that he was giving me an AIDS diagnosis because of a lot of things that are going on. And I remember when I first tested positive, I talked to this guy that I knew, who lives in Upper Michigan, and he's this real, you know, big, tough, clean biker, and he said, well, it's nothing to use over, it's just something else to deal with a day at a time. And, you know, I found that to be very, very true. And I was told by a few people that it was an outside issue and I shouldn't talk about it. And then I met this really, really neat guy. I don't think him and his wife are here anymore. I think they already left. But he said, well, you know, if that's an outside issue, then that makes basically everything else an outside issue too. You know, if whatever's affecting your life is an issue and should be shared. And that really helped a lot, because I've been I talk about it a little bit, and then I get a little bit, you know, quiet about it, because I think, well, people, you know, in my area, you know, maybe they get tired of hearing about it or whatever. So it was really neat for me to be able to come here this weekend and talk about it. And I told one of my closest friends in recovery about it last night. And it was really neat, because we just hugged each other and cried, and this girl doesn't cry. At least not in front of people. On rare occasion. I think I don't know, I think I might have seen her cry once before. But we did, and it was just real neat that we could do that. And I'm glad to see people here that were here last year, and I was glad to help out, and I know I'll be here next year. I have to be here because me and Kathy are running it next year. So it's just been real, you know, it's been very relaxing and very spiritual. And it's the best thing that this happened so far this year, I think. And I was like, God, if we could only make this a week-long thing, you know, it'd be so nice. So I just want to thank everybody for being here. And morning, Cheryl. And I'll keep coming back. Thanks.